in Jackson and in Owasso with traffic and odor and parking. And I think we're just going to give it time, as you talked about. It's a year long. I think you said license good for a year, the approved site plan good for a year, and hopefully it's going to, you know, bode well for our city. Talked about some of the issues that I noticed in Jackson and in Owasso with traffic and odor and parking. And I think we're just going to give it time, as you talked about. It's a year long. I think you said license good for a year.
Well, and a lot of it is learning to play together and understanding everything like we talked. And
Yes.
that's going to take a process for all of us, even the proprietors of the businesses. I mean, it's all new in most cases.
Right.
So we do appreciate your comments this evening.
I have a question for her, if I may.
Who is this? Who's talking?
This is Mary Hetherington.
Hi,
Oh.
Mary. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
You've taught my children, so I do know who you are. I just want to ask you, and maybe we could do this as quickly as possible. We have a long meeting, but
I know you do. I looked at your agenda.
right. I mean, looking as a whole at our city, we have 2 bars and now a dispensary. How do you feel about that?
Like I told the 3 board members I had talked to, I am concerned about the children in the town, very much so. When I'm down at the clothesline, which I am quite often, many of my former students drop by to see me, come in shopping. We have some of them volunteering, you know, getting their NHS hours. I am concerned about them walking around downtown with this new business going in. That does concern me. The bars are already there. I don't see the bars having been a real problem with the kids, but they normally go down to the town tub and maybe go get snacks and things in between sporting events or whatever. So that's a concern for me as a former teacher who loves children and loves families.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
There, I think I got you.
Oh, you're live.
You're
I
on.
am. I pushed something on here. I don't know what I did.
Okay, is there another public comment in the waiting room?
We have Grayson Steele on. Grayson, did you have a comment?
I'm all set, Paula. Thank you, though.
Right.
Thank you. Is that all the public comment this evening that's not on the agenda?
You go shut that off. Wi-Fi.
Nothing else, we'll move on to approve the minutes of April 6th. Roll call vote, so. Okay, anyone make a motion to approve the minutes of April 6th, 2020?
I'll make the motion.
I second it.
We have a
That was
second by
Rhoda
Marcy.
Yeah.
Motion by David, second by Marcy. Any discussion? All right, Paula, ready for the vote?
Hetherington,
Yes.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Redline,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Rotabeck,
Yes.
Geisler,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes. Next item on the agenda, the motion is carried, is the public hearing of 2021 budget. And
Treasurer's report next, isn't it?
did I skip another one? Yep, okay, sorry. Thank you.
Mhm.
We have a motion to accept the treasurer's report as written.
So moved.
How about a second in there?
I second that.
All right, Marcy got the second. You got the choice of Alan and Brian, I think, and maybe somebody else on the motion.
I heard Newcastle.
Okay, if that's the way it worked, that's good. Any discussion on the treasurer's report? No discussion? Ready for our roll call vote?
Hetherington,
Yes.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Redline,
Yes.
Nichols,
He's muted.
Nichols, Oh. Rotabeck,
Yes.
Geisler,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes. Okay, motion carried to accept the treasurer's report as written. Now we'll go to item number 5 is public hearing on the 2021 budget. Take a motion to open the floor up to the public meeting.
Second.
So Brian and Alan, open the floor up for motion to open the floor, and now discussion. Is there anyone that's got any discussion on the budget as you were presented in your packet? There were a few things explained to you. So is there any questions or concerns anyone has at this time? As it was stated, of course, you can, as we go through time, do budget adjustments and so forth through the year. So we're currently just making sure we meet everything that we need to do as Paul has set it up. So if there's not any other discussion, we'll take a motion to close.
So moved.
Motion by David,
Second.
second by Mary. And take that vote when you get ready, Paula.
Okay. Heatherington,
Yes.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Redline,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Rotabeck,
Yes.
Geisler,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes. Okay, public hearing is closed. Now, next we need a motion to schedule a public hearing or meeting. This, and as that this month, Paula, it needs to be done.
Yeah, it has to be done by the third Monday.
Motion to schedule a special meeting.
I second that.
Okay. Are you ready? Did we lose Mike?
Yep.
Brian, you want to call the roll?
Yep, we have a motion and a second to schedule a special meeting. So we'll verify, pass the motion by roll call.
Heatherington. You say yes?
Yes. Yep.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Redline,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Rotabeck,
Yes.
Geisler,
Yes.
Culpepper. I think we lost him. Oh, he just called in. Mayor, are you there?
I am here.
We took a roll
Like I
call. You're the last vote on the budget,
On the budget?
or I mean, on the scheduling of a special meeting.
Okay, when did we schedule it for?
We didn't pick a date.
Oh,
We had a motion
Well,
and
when
a
we
second to schedule a public here or a special meeting.
okay, well, I
is-
vote to schedule it. So,
Okay, what date do we want to do that?
well, when do we have to have it set?
By the third Monday of the month.
Of the third Monday of May?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then I would have to assume that we need to get it done by the third Monday of the May at the latest, which is what date?
The 18th. May
Hey,
18th.
Mike, let's do it next Monday, May 11th, in case there's any glitches and we need to schedule another one. That'll give us two bites to the apple.
I agree with that.
7.
That's fine with me. So
Okay.
the May 8th at 7?
May 11th. May 11th.
May 11th, oh. Okay, I got it wrote down now.
Hey, May 11th, I mean, we don't have to have it at 7 o'clock. We could do it like at 5 o'clock.
Well, that's why I'm asking, I'm just asking. I lost everybody, so I'm kind of just picking up here. I'm on the phone now.
that's-
I'm not on the computer.
May 11th, what day is that?
It's a Monday.
It's a what?
Monday.
Week from-
Week
Okay,
from today.
I'll be able to do it 5 o'clock on Monday. I don't work on Mondays.
I agree, this works for me.
If 5 works for everybody, it works for me. That's no problem. So is there anybody that can't do 5 o'clock? Then it sounds like we're gonna do it at 5 o'clock.
Yep, and it'll be a 5-minute meeting, so we're good.
Right.
5 for 5.
So it's not a big deal. So, do we need to vote on that, Paul, or just schedule it?
You guys already voted to schedule it. I'll have the date.
Okay. All right, May 11th at 5 PM. All right, if that concludes that, we'll move on to item number 7, which is 120 Grand River Special Use Permit and Site Plan for Micro Business.
I think Pete's on, Bob Ford's on, and John Liskey.
Planning committee recommended that council approve it at the last planning committee meeting.
Thank you, Alan. So, basically, we're in a position for a motion.
But
Did I hear somebody say something or no?
I'll make a motion.
a second.
Okay,
What's the motion?
To approve the recommendation of planning committee to grant them the special use permit for a micro
Got it,
at 120 West Grand River.
got it.
discussion.
You want to hear from Mike, Pete, or Bob Ford, or the applicant?
I would say that we certainly should if they have something to say.
They're all on if you want somebody to talk.
Does anyone feel compelled?
This is Bob Ford. Just wanted to say a couple of things to follow up from what the Planning Commission had deliberated on and some of their comments. And relative to parking, the owner, John Liskey, and the other folks, Rhonda and Roy, who are part of this, said that the employees for the store to get things started in the morning are usually there early. And when it comes time to open doors for business, they'll probably have 2 people in the store itself. The employees could park in the municipal parking areas, which would be away from the establishment. Visitors can come, and it would open up basically the entire parking lot to the public, which comprises 7 stops. And we're only required to have 2 by ordinance. There's also some on-street parking. I think there's 3 or 4 spaces there. So it should free that up. When the other mention from Planning Commission was odors, which are known to be associated with this type of industry. Matrix Engineering has a reputation for doing these types of filtering systems. They've done over 70 of these establishments, and they have not received any malfunctions or any complaints on those 70 stores. John has more detail on that, but I just wanted to mention that. And as far as the site plan goes, I think we answered everybody's questions. I don't remember if there was anything else that needed to be said about it, but obviously we're here to answer any questions. John?
Thank you. This is John Liskey. I'm acting in my capacity as an attorney for my former wife, Rhonda. You can see in the background, and my son, Roy. They are the owners of the applicant 120 West LLC. You've got a long agenda, so I'll try and be brief. With regards to odor, for those of you who have not heard our presentation previously, as Bob said, this was designed by Matrix Engineering, who has probably the most experience of marijuana facility design in the Midwest. Over 70 facilities. They indicated from small 8x10 greenhouses to 500,000 square feet facilities. So we were very lucky that Bob Ford knew them, and they were willing to take on a small job like this. And let me back up a little and say that this is a micro business license. It is not a dispensary license. And what a micro business is, as the name implies, it's a smaller operation. It allows up to 150 plants to be grown. Not all of them would be flowering at the same time. Probably no more than a third of them would be flowering at the same time. And that, to put that in context, anyone in the city right now that is a licensed caregiver can grow up to 72 plants in their home without any local permission. So I just want to give that context. This is going to be perhaps bigger depending on how many plants a caregiver is growing at any one time. But and then there's the micro business license we can only sell what we grow. And so it is designed to allow the small guy into this business. And with regards to odor control that Matrix designed, there's really three elements. There's the negative positive pressure of the building is designed in such a way that the entrances are both negative pressure. So when a door is open, air is sucked in and not allowed out. So that's one part of the design. Another part is there are two areas where there are plants growing. And in those areas, there are two what they call air scrubbers that have carbon filters, and they have air exchanges. This is designed to go up to 30 air exchanges per hour that runs the air through these carbon filters. So that, to put that in context, an average office building has only 6 to 8 air exchanges per hour. A commercial kitchen has only 12 to 14 air exchanges per hour. So you can see that we've designed this for maximum air exchanges per hour, which means maximum filtration. And then the third component is a centralized exhaust system that also has carbon filters. So the facility is designed in the 6 zones. So before air is exhausted out into the atmosphere, it would go through the common areas and then through another filter. Now, nothing is perfect. We realize that, but the engineers have said that this design and that this equipment is 95% efficient. And if there are any problems, we can change the filters more often or try and do other things to address any concerns with odors. Now, with regards to the public comment relative to children, I want to assure the council and the community that we are concerned about children. We have kids and grandkids. Our kids grew up in this town. We share the same family values, I think, that all of you share. And that was part of our design in terms of having a fencing, as much fencing as we do, including some fencing in the front to allow privacy for customers to come and go. I would also say that the state regulates advertising, so there's not going to be advertising to children of any kind. And then I guess I would just open it up for any questions you might have. Any questions? Can you hear me?
I don't have any questions.
I figure it's no different than what's going on behind the bar there. It looks like a drug house back there, so you guys are gonna be,
Yeah,
you know, I mean, it'll be a lot better with your business than what's going on behind the bar on that side street.
well, the bottom line of all this is in the home of, like Mr. Liskey spoke of, they have got the equipment and they've spent the money for it. The state on a caregiver's license, you can grow 72 plants in your house and you don't have to have a stick of nothing in there. So the bottom line is if there's smells coming, there's a good chance it's coming from other places instead of somebody that spent a ton of money, but that's not a guarantee. So any other comments?
Sounds like you've done your due diligence. If planning committee didn't have any issues, that's why we have a planning committee.
Planning committee had no issues.
A lot of tossed around things, but no issues. So,
Yep.
all right. If we're done discussion, then Paula, we're ready for a vote.
Okay, so what the actual motion is to recommend approval based on the planning commission recommendation of approval for the petition for special land use and final site plan for the use of property as a marijuana microbusiness as submitted by 120 West LLC for property located at 120 West Grand River Road in Laingsburg, in the city of Laingsburg, and as legally described in the petition, based on the following reasoning and conditions. The standards set forth under section 704, basis of determination, and article 8, section 837 appear to be met, and the conditions set forth below. Standards set forth under 605, final site plan requirements, and section 606, standards for review have been met. Any additional reasoning as set forth by the planning commission or the city council? There appears to be none. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. That appears to be the motion. Are you ready for a vote?
I'm not going to repeat it.
Heatherington,
No.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Redline,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Rotabeck,
Yes.
Geisler,
yes,
Culpepper.
Yes.
All righty.
Motion carried. Time to go to work, guys. Item number 8. Do we still have Dan on the phone?
Yep, Dan's on. Let me unmute him.
Okay.
Where did he go?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, Chief, we are to your contract of yourself and contract of the officers. We'll do the one at a time for yourself, but is there any highlights that you want to point out to us or not, or whatever, or say?
Yeah, basically it's the same contract. The only issue was increase in wages for both the officers and myself. That's the only change in my contract. I guess we'll do that one first and then we'll do the officers. If anybody has any questions about my contract.
Well, let's make a motion to get into that with the chief of police's contract. We have a motion to go into discussion for the chief contract. If I get it out.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion and second by Dave, and I believe it was Mary.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and now, anyone have questions for the chief on this concerning himself And you'll have a chance to talk to him about the officers if that's the case. This is probably the quickest way to move through this and know what we're doing, so I think. Well, if there's not any discussion, I know I don't have any questions, so. Paula, I guess if we don't have any more questions, we're ready for a vote.
Is this a vote to approve the chief of police's contract?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay, it was, Heatherington,
Yes.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Redline,
Yes.
Nichols. Marcy's muted.
There, I think I'm unmuted. Yes.
Okay.
You can always give a hand.
Rodebeck,
Yes.
Geisler,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes. Motion carried to carry the contract with the chief. Now we're to the contract of the police officers. We need a motion there for the police officers in a second, and then we can go into questions or discussion.
I'll make the motion.
Support.
Motion by Mary, support by Dave. Discussion. And Chief, you can throw in anything that you know of right now in the discussion. It's just about wages is the only difference. I noticed that.
Along with the increase in the life insurance,
Yes.
it was requested by the officers to increase it from 20,000 to 50,000 for life insurance. Looking at the prior case, I don't think it's been up since about 1997. So I think that was one of the things that the city was, the officers were looking at. And if that does pass, then we're looking at doing it for all city employees.
Makes sense.
Okay. Any question, discussion on that? As far as anybody have anything to comment to the chief about? Or concerns? Okay. All right, Paula, I guess we're voting on the contract for the police officers
Heatherington,
with the wage.
Yes.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Redline,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Rodebeck,
Yes.
Geisler,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes. Motion carried to accept the contracts for the police officers and the chief. We will move to item number 10, which is the grant for the amphitheater.
Well, I guess that's gonna be me.
Yeah, we're gonna get to you. I mean, I could talk, but it's not gonna mean nothing much.
Well, basically the amphitheater, as you all know, came in over budget, and I contacted the state, and with all of the things going on right now, they do not have any appetite or ability to forecast what the economy's gonna do or what's gonna happen to their budget. So they don't have any extra money to offer us at the time. I have about $100,000 gap. Some of the suggestions are we could just put this thing on hold and see what happens. We could, we could obviously fund the difference. We could ask the contractors to look at it again with Dave and maybe some other people and see what the city could do or what we could get in kind of labor to do. And then in addition to that, we could always rebid it. So those, I guess, are our options.
What's the status of the
How long
the
is
grant?
good for?
It's a 2-year grant. I would have to put in an amendment to request, I mean, at this point, probably at the very least, we're gonna need an amendment to change the scope because we took out the cement seating. And we could add an amendment to push back the construction start date. But in the meantime, we need to, we have to fill in that gap, or we need to rebid it, or we need to find a way to reduce the expenditure.
At this moment, Paula, the grant is a go as far as
The
the
grant's
state.
approved. If we had a signed contract, we can start building an amphitheater as soon as she frees up construction.
Well, and that's coming real fast.
That started today for the construction workers to go back to work.
That's what I thought it was, is today, part of it at least, so outside work.
Yep.
So what we have then is the option of coming up with $100,000 out of our money to continue forward at this moment, if I understand correctly. The state is not in a position to give us any more money. So the question is do we bite the bullet? We've got the approval, move forward, spend the money and get her done with what we got, or do we go through the arbitration of working through the builders again and getting new bids, maybe taking things off? But that is up to you, and that's where we're at. My biggest fear is if we put it off, the state will spend the money on something else. That's my fear.
You could do it not to exceed, and maybe you don't want to go the 100,000, and then we have to find a way to tighten our belts within the project. I mean, the number that I was giving you guys in your packets was a not to exceed number. So I guess we could keep the not to exceed of our own and see what we can build for that. Or we put a pin in it.
Get the money.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna ask you guys, where would we get the $100,000? Just the
From the
same old
general
question that
fund.
ever gets asked.
From the general fund.
From the
Where would
general
that
fund,
be, Mark?
okay.
We actually have some excess funds in there right now because we had that increase in our cell phone contract that we weren't expecting.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Yep.
So we do have some money sitting there, and in addition, the LARC funds have about 20,000 in there. So we could still, even if you approve a number, we could still, we can approve a contract and tighten the belt, having, maybe there's some things that DPW can do, we could do some seeding and cut the trees. We can, I'm sure Dave could weigh in on this, but there's always some things we can do to help cut costs, but probably not 100,000.
Right.
I mean, the guys might be able to save us 10 or 15, 20,000 some way or another, but not 100. So unfortunately,
So
I
if we,
put that on your lap today. I mean, we've done a lot. We've put some efforts in. We've reduced the bid price. We took out the seating, and we've reduced probably what 250, 300,000 out of that, and we're still coming up 100,000 over budget.
yeah, we started out with a Cadillac, which was nice, but if we have to keep cutting it, we'll just have a shell, and things are gonna change building wise. I like the fact that you brought up about the tower and stuff, because I think that most people forgot that we got that. Myself personally, I'd make a motion to move forward on the application for the amphitheater grant and for the city to put up to a maximum of $100,000 with in-kind services being cut if possible from our city.
If that was a motion, I'll second it.
Brian,
Now
how do you
there's
feel
this,
about that?
Is there a timeline on the grant we have now?
It's 2 years.
Okay, so we got plenty of time then.
Yeah, our
Good
construction
thing.
date, our construction date was set to start June 1st. So if
Okay.
we start construction by June 1st, I have to do a grant amendment.
Okay,
Was Woodhull the only one that bid it?
We had 2 bids, and they were probably within about $20,000 of each other, and they were both $300,000 more higher than what we expected.
Okay.
Those two contractors have worked together to cut the plan is to award the contract to Woodhall once we come to a number. And the other contractor is gonna be the sub.
Okay.
So we have been putting in a lot of effort to try to make it work.
And that's what I'm concerned about, because if one thing changes, everything could change. As far as the builders or what they can do or can't do in time, construction work. Costs are going up today. Gas just went up 14 cents a gallon. So I guess it's in your court, Paula. I mean, if there's no more discussion, that's where the motion's at.
Okay, so the motion is to approve funding for the amphitheater from the city's general fund, not to exceed $100,000, with the city continuing to work on ways to cut the cost. And then what we would bring contract next Monday with, when we do our special meeting.
That's the motion. And David seconded it.
Yep.
So I guess we're ready for that roll call vote when you're ready.
Heatherington,
Yes.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Redline,
Yep.
Nichols,
Yes.
Rotaback,
Yes.
Geisler,
yes,
Culpepper.
Yes. Grant application for the amphitheater is to move forward or proceed forward has been accepted, approved.
Wonderful.
Item, yes. Now we can go forward more. So, thank you. Grant application category B funding, Paula?
I'm gonna let Adam do the talking on this one. Last year,
Okay,
we submitted an application for the category B funding to include Woodbury Road and Shiawassee Street, and we want to do the extension of the sewer there. And we did not get that funding, but we went ahead and had C2AE get all the designs done. That's all paid for, and they're both designed. And Adam has done a little homework for me, checking with this category B people that are doing the funding. We've been working with Dave Kassler and trying to figure out something out to get a good application together. So I'm gonna let Adam and Dave talk about this now.
All right, can everybody hear me?
I can.
yes,
Okay. So we had a conversation to get a little bit of feedback and to get some information from MDOT on what things we might be able to do with our grant application this time around to improve our chances, increase our scoring. And there were three major items that they gave us feedback that we want to make sure we include in this grant application to the best of our abilities to improve our scoring chances. And one is making sure that the projects are tied to local street designations, tying in the project work to what they consider capital preventative maintenance work, and finding ways to get cooperation from other agencies as well to be able to work together in some level of collaboration for the development of a project. With that in mind, we looked at the two projects that we had applied for originally a couple years or a year or two ago. And then we've also looked at into some possible projects that could be done that are more preventative maintenance style projects. Those with the Shiawassee and Woodbury, Shiawassee looks like it's going to be a better fit from the road classification standpoint for scoring points than Woodbury will at this point. And then the other option of these capital preventive maintenance projects, those are going to be projects that are, they could be HMA overlay project or a mill and resurface type project. Or they're also into chip sealing or crack sealing, those types of pavement rehabilitation type projects. So we've started a conversation with the Road Commission, Shiawassee County Road Commission, in an effort to see if we can find some level of collaboration between projects that they may already be planning for in the fiscal year of 2021, which will be when this grant would be set up to be ready for construction. In trying to tie in, if there's certain types of work that they're already engaged in that we can add to that project, or find some way to work together with them to be able to bring value to either their project and our grant application as well. If they're doing projects, there's a good chance they might have a larger amount of quantity available in there and be able to bring even some of the unit prices down. So we've started those conversations. We have another conversation set up for this upcoming week. So we can start establishing what we could include in this grant application for possible work with the county. I don't have, there was a memo, I believe you guys have this, that shows that we called out capital preventive maintenance projects. Dave and I have been talking about different things that can be done based on evaluation of the city streets from their condition ratings that have been recently completed. And we're pulling together that work, but we don't have the numbers in there. So that's why I don't have anything shown in these tables that were provided in that. But to give you an order of magnitude, an example would be the Shiawassee Street project. So that's the one that has sewer extension in it, continuation on from where the last project that we did for CDBG ended. And this would go back to just about to Woodbury. Based on the eligibility of the project work, some of the sanitary work would not be eligible. The road work would be the parts that would be eligible. It's a 50% match from the grant. And then we've already designed it, so we'd be looking just at construction bidding services and stuff that would be in there, and that would be considered ineligible services for them. So this would be a $307,000 project with $115,000 ineligible, eligible, $226,000 ineligible. And the capital preventive maintenance projects, we would probably have to do some level of design depending on what type of project it is. It may just be specs. But so some of that may have a little bit higher ineligible cost tied to it, but we can tailor the project to what the city would be comfortable with for total expenditures at this point as well. So we've got some work to do yet, but wanted to make sure we got some information in front of you guys to give you an idea of what we're looking at with this grant program. Now, the grant is due on June 1st. And from our discussions with MDOT, they were anticipating that they were not going to require a resolution of support, but they have not removed that from their grant requirements off of the website as of yet. So we're still anticipating that a resolution of support will be required with the grant submittal. So we may have to look at if we can get those numbers and stuff squared away here in the next couple of days from that meeting with the Road Commission, potentially having a resolution of support on your next meeting so we can get that in before the June 1st.
That'd be the 11th.
Yes, yeah. So I just unloaded a whole bunch of information on you. You guys have any questions or any thoughts?
Now this, I do.
Sure.
And the total monies that you talked about, the 300,000 and so forth, is that our part or is that the total grant?
So that
What
was,
cost?
yeah, for Shiawassee, 307 would be the total project.
Okay,
The
for Shiawassee.
For Shiawassee, correct. And If we wanted to, we could look at this as adding some CPM projects to that, or we could do CPM projects instead of that. So we've got some choices if we want to look at how much capital outlay we want to look at against what you're getting for grant dollars. So in that $307,000 project, this would be looking at $115,000 of grant money applied towards it.
Okay.
In the reason that is, it's a 50% match, but the sanitary sewer work is ineligible.
Right, that's obsolete as far as being in the money realm.
Right. But that could come then, that would be something to be able to look at from maybe the sewer fund instead of a general fund type of impact.
Right. Now, what about Woodbury?
Now, Woodbury is considered a major for classification. We could apply for it, but they're going to score points in favor for locals above that.
Okay.
So we're
So our
just,
focus right now should be Shiawassee.
we believe that would be the project that would have the best scoring opportunity, correct?
So tell me again why we need sanitary sewer when we're doing the road.
In this particular area, it was planned to be able to extend the sanitary sewer, so it's incorporated with the road project. If we did the road project first and came back later, we would end up tearing up the newer road to put the sanitary pipe in.
Are all of you familiar with Shiawassee Street where the new pavement stopped coming around the curve? That's, if you haven't drove that, you need to look at it because that is quite the project. And the sewer stops just about around the curve, about halfway up that new pavement, somewhere in that ballpark. And then it needs to go even farther up to the houses that are in the city up that street. Because if we don't do it, if we do the street and don't do the sewer, then we're going to tear it up. And that's why we didn't do it when we did the other street, is because we didn't have the funding to go farther and we needed to put the sewer in.
Correct.
To extend it up there.
We actually just extended that sewer to that point.
Right.
That it was knowing that the next time we did a road project there, we were gonna finish it. Because there's that possibility for a subdivision there on that piece of property that Leonard's own. And there are several houses there that if they ever fail sewer. Those homes
Yeah,
out
I know
there,
that has been mentioned.
those homes out there are on septic. So, and that money, we have money in the sewer fund to do that project when we do that street. That was.
So we don't have to worry about sewer.
Yeah. So this grant is just that, you know, it's a grant. We don't know we're gonna get it. You know, we're hopeful this time, but the other funding piece to this is that we're getting ready to pay off the bonds for McClintock and High Street that we did. Those will be paid off in October. And one of the things that we might want to think about if we were to get this grant and we want to do Woodbury Road and Shiawassee, we could rebond and make a payment to cover the cost of those two projects. I think with Woodbury Road, if you look at the cost of that project, we won't be doing that road unless we do bond. So, or unless somebody drops down a whole bunch of money that they're gonna just give us, because that is turning out to be a pretty big project. We could put a Band-Aid on it and go through and, you know, slap some pavement on there and make it look pretty for a little while, but it won't last. There's some things there that need to be corrected that probably Adam or Dave could talk about better than I, but there's some dips in the road. There's some changes that need to happen to improve the base so that we have some there that will last for a long time. Because everybody knows that Woodbury Road needs to be done, but there's a reason it wasn't done in that first round of funding we did, is because we knew it was going to be a big project. and we didn't have the funds to do it. Dave, gonna wait.
So,
Nailed it.
so the way I'm hearing what's being said is, and maybe it's just me hearing it, but I'm thinking here that the process and procedure is we need to make sure we decide that we want to spend $100,000 or 50% or whatever it is to move forward to even apply for a grant and see if we can put in a spec of a project for the whole total to do bonding as well.
Yeah, we've
Is
already,
that
both projects are designed.
right?
We've spent the money to do that. So the next step is how are we going to fund those projects?
Right, okay.
And so that's where we're at with this. And
Do
this,
do we
when would
need
this
to,
project happen, Adam?
21, there is for the applications for fiscal year 21. So next construction season.
Yeah, not this year, but the following one.
I have a
But
question
it
for
has
you.
to be,
When you're ready, I have a question.
okay,
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
yeah,
Okay, so question is, I kind of looked at the picture and everything. We got houses that are pre-existing down the street. And I know there was talk at the field there that Leonard's owned, developing that. And then around the corner, a couple of lots that were sold by Larry Eakin. But the other houses that set down there, now, once the sewer goes down through there, are they gonna have to hook up?
Only when their sewer fails. That's what our ordinance says. That's what anyone's ordinance says.
So even though it's new, put out in front, they don't have to hook up to it unless they have a problem.
That's correct.
right. It's like a gas line.
So just so I understand, the $115,000 for the road project, that is grant eligible. However, we have to come up with half of that. We have to come up with a 50% match to get 115,000. Is that correct?
The road eligible component is 230,000. The 115,000 is the grant money. So half of that, so 115,000 goes into the eligible category, 115,000 into the ineligible category. And then the rest of that is coming up from other ineligible items, which is primarily the sanitary sewer.
So if you
There'd
look
be-
at, we have road funds, and there's a major street and a local street. And if you look at your treasurer's report, there's an amount on there that is, I think the local street has, let me check. I can look at the treasurer's report quick. So Major Street has 190,000 in it, and local street has 61,000.
Right, I see that.
And so typically what they do is, a lot of people have funding for their major street, but it's hard to get the funding for the local street. So this grant is geared toward local street funding is what Adam found out. So mostly that Woodbury project is not going to be covered there. We don't have to do Shiawassee. We don't have to do the sewer. The sewer funding piece, which is, I don't know how much out of this project, Adam, how much is the sewer funding?
That was 76,000.
So 76,000 of that 115 that we would have to come up with, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's 76 on top of the 115.
Okay, so 76,000 from sewer and 115 from roads or general fund. So
Yes.
that's where the funding comes from. That makes sense to everybody? And in right now in the local street, there's only $60,000. So we would have to move money from Major Street to local street to cover it, which is allowed. It's not allowed to go the other way, right, Adam?
I believe so.
So people aren't allowed to move money from their local street fund to their major street fund, but they're allowed to move major street fund to local.
So if we go ahead and approve this grant application, do we have to write a check?
Or,
Or do we wait until the grant is approved? Or
correct, we wouldn't know anything until the grant was approved. And at that point, we would have time to get the bond funding in place to cover the project. If we decide to do all of it at once, then we could just bond and make a payment.
And if we didn't get the grant, we'd have to make a decision on if we were gonna do anything with a bond to do Woodbury or not, and so forth, so.
Correct.
But applying for this grant does not cost us any upfront money. Correct?
Other than what we've paid C2AE to prepare it, which we've probably already done, so, no.
What's the dollar amount on the Woodbury? Have we put a dollar amount on that?
The Woodbury project is, we have at 382,000 right now.
The sanitary sewer on Shiawassee Street, is that gonna continue up Woodbury Road, or is it connecting in any way to Woodbury?
No, this would stop, right, Adam, or does it go all the way to Woodbury?
This stops short.
That's what I thought.
It serves all the homes up to the cemetery.
Which in time could be a lot of homes out there. There's 10 acres there, and I know Tim's talked about selling his lots.
So we do have
So you could have 5 or 6
already
homes.
on Woodbury Road on both ends that could service the rest of the area, probably without tearing up Woodbury Road, but that isn't in the project at all. Right?
Correct.
Well, I don't see any harm and foul if we do move forward, because number one, if we don't get it, we don't get it. If we have most of the money and we got time to work on it, if we do get approved, that's a plus. And we can even say, well, even though we got the grant, we're not gonna do it. If that be the case.
And
Is
then
that correct?
we did invest in the design of both of these projects. So,
Right.
you know, in the future, if, you know, I guess if you think about whether if you're gonna invest in the design of a project, I guess the thought is for us that you want us to move forward. You know, that was the intent, that we figured when you went ahead that we'd be ready for the next time a funding round came about. And, I mean, maybe there'll be a better funding round at some point. We don't know, but we do have these 2 projects designed and that should work for a while. I mean, the costs may have to be updated if we don't get
What
that.
do we need? A motion to move forward with the grant application process?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So moved.
I suck.
Or
So basically what we'll
We got-
is Dave and Adam and I are gonna talk to the county and, then we'll have a better idea of exactly what the project will be and bring you a resolution next week at that May 11th meeting, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
what do you need for Woodbury Road? You need a motion now to look into grants for that, or maybe bonding?
No, we don't right now. We'll have to tackle that once, you know, because Woodbury's not gonna be in this application, correct?
Correct.
So
Just
that,
Steve Shiloh.
yeah, if we get this grant and we decide to bond, I would suggest we tackle Woodbury Road then. Because then we could just bond to cover Woodbury Road project and the Shiawassee Road project.
Right. Okay.
And I'm sorry, I had a motion by Fred Line
Second.
and Marcy was,
Second by Marcy.
okay.
Yeah, and I think we've had plenty of discussion, so the question is do we have any other, just to be sure? Okay, let's do a vote.
Heatherington,
Yes.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Fred Line,
Yeah.
Nichols,
Yes.
Rotabeck,
Yes.
Geisler,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes. Motion carried to move forward on the grant application for Shiawassee Street, Category B funding. Item number 12 is the Shiawassee County Visitors Guide advertisement. This advertisement is just something that we've been doing for 4 or 5 years. Paula, you can touch base on it more with them and the actual costs and what we want to try to do or not do, so.
Basically, I got Cassie working on it right now with the people that do the Shiawassee County Visitors Guide, but our ad, if you looked at your packets, kind of talks about all of our summer events and other things that we aren't sure what's going to happen. So we kind of want to revamp our ad to show that Laingsburg's open for business and to come and visit us, and maybe do one of those QRLs or something that lists all the business and their hours, but we can't possibly put every business on the ad. So that would be, so that's kind of what we're working on. And the DDA agreed with it, and they're gonna split it with us as usual. There was some discussion about whether it's worth putting the ad in, but I think frankly, our businesses need it at this time, that we'd go ahead with this ad and try to keep people coming to Laingsburg if possible. So
Hopefully they're able to open up.
hopefully,
What does that cost, Paul? $750?
yeah, the ad is 1544 and the DDA agreed to split it with us.
I'll make a motion that we move forward with it.
Or
And that's in our budget. So who was the support? I'm sorry.
Brian did.
Al,
Got it.
okay, any other discussion? Okay, Paula, go.
Heatherington,
Yes.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Redline,
yep,
Nichols,
Yes.
Rotabeck,
Yes.
Geisler,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes. Motion carried. Item number 13 is placemaking mini grant. Guess that's you again, Paul, to talk to us a little bit.
Dang it. I don't know how many of you got a chance to look at the packet and saw the pictures, but there's a mini grant for $2,000, but they also want to leverage funds. And it's due, I think, the 1st of June. So one of our ideas was to put tables and chairs downtown, like outdoor seating in front of the places that serve food. They're, you know, the people that serve alcohol have to have a special license if they want to serve outside, but people can take their food out there and eat. They can't take drinks out there. And then we looked at maybe putting one over by Rosemary Ridsdale's place, because she has a lot of visitors that could sit outside and eat, visit our establishments, sip food outside. And then we'll also put some flowers and umbrellas and probably, you know, just try to accessorize it to make everything look open. The DDA agreed to match it with $2,000. And we were hoping that the city would get another $2,000. We could get tables, chairs, umbrellas, flowers, and just spruce it up. That's where we're at.
Were you
That'd be
gonna
really
put some
nice
down
to
by
see down there.
Tammy's Bakery too, or?
Yes.
Okay.
so this is another situation where if we get the grant, DDA kicks in $2,000, we kick in $2,000, and then the grant is up to $2,000, correct?
Yes.
And if we didn't get the grant, we'd still be able to proceed as much as the money we had.
Right. So then the DDA and the city, if they still want to do it, we'd have some money. But
Well, it says up to $2,000. Could they give us 1,000 and everybody chips in 1,000 or?
And
the grant, we're gonna apply for $2,000 if this goes forward, and the DDA said they would give 2,000. And then the city could give nothing or 2,000 or 1,000, but that was the proposal that we gave to the DDA.
Okay,
Same thing I just presented to you.
yep, that's fine.
I'll make a motion again to move forward.
I second that.
Have Dave with a motion and Marcy with a second. Any other discussion? It's on your plate, Paula.
All righty. Heatherington,
Yes.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Redline,
Yeah,
Nichols,
Yes.
Rotabeck,
Yes,
Geisler,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes. Motion carried. Item number 14, the COVID-19 policies, procedures, and updates. I'm sure all of you got a copy of that in your packet, and there's a whole lot of information to read there. And I think, Paula, are you not looking for a motion to accept this plan? Or
Yeah, there's a
because we
resolution.
have to have it in set.
Yep, there's a resolution in there, and the governor's order actually requires that everyone have a plan. I
Right.
Dave and Dan about it. We need a few things. I think we're already handling the face masks. Probably gonna need to have some gloves. Probably a temperature checker. I don't think this is going away, even if we open the office back, up, everybody comes in. And we still want to encourage our people, if they're sick, to let us know they're sick and take care of them so they can go home. They gotta, do whatever they gotta do so that we don't get everyone else sick.
is this boilerplate or did it come from MML or? who created-
Yes. Yep, I cut and pasted it from another community. It's actually from Mason. And then, just tweaked it to make it work for us. There's just we have a police department, DPW, we put a couple of little things in there, but mostly it's just boilerplate language that's right out of the governor's order. And basically what it does is protect our staff, it protects the public, and it gives everybody a little bit of guidance and reassurance that we're gonna try to do what we can to keep things clean and protect people. I mean, I've already.
The good thing you guys got going on for yourself is the glass there, plexiglass or the bulletproof glass. So it's not like you guys are gonna have to technically be face to face with the public coming in.
No, that's very helpful. However, they all give us money or their credit card, or sometimes they need to come around and give us something. And Dave and Dan deal with people face to face in different cases. So it's not just about the office staff. It's things that we all need to do. So if, we all have a shared hallway, we have the council chambers, we have to do things to keep it clean and keep it safe and protect people. And this may all come to an end for a little while, and then what happens if it happens again? It'd be really nice to have something in place and test it and see how it works.
well, I'll make
Yeah,
a
don't
motion
watch
to
the news
adopt
though, 'cause
the,
it's coming.
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution 2005 for the COVID-19 preparedness and response plan.
Support.
Who was that?
That was Alan.
Yeah,
Alan,
that-
I believe.
It's me, Brian.
That was
Brian.
When I'm looking down and I hear a voice, sometimes I can't tell which one of you are talking.
So we have a motion and a second to adopt the COVID-19 policy, procedures, and updates. Any other discussion or concerns? Okay, Paul.
Heatherington,
Yes.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Redline,
Yes,
Nichols,
Yes.
Rotabeck,
Yes,
Geisler,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes. Motion carried to adopt policy of COVID-19. Item number 15 is pay the bills.
Make a motion.
I support it. Second.
Got it.
Any discussion? Okay, go, Paul.
Heatherington,
Yes.
Newcastle,
Yes.
Redline,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Rotabeck,
yes,
Geisler,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes. Motion to pay the bills is done. Accepted. Committee reports, you had packet information and stuff. Is there anything outstanding that anybody has to speak about or wants to speak about from a department?
Planning commission was just what we talked about tonight, so that's basically done. It was for the special use permit for 120 West Grand River. So
Okay, but that's
we've already
fine,
done.
and- Yeah, we've already done that due diligence. I was kind of referring to police, DPW, but I know that it was stated that everything was pretty much in the packet and so forth, so. If no reports, then we'll go to others.
Library. I want to do the library.
Oh, okay, go ahead then.
Okay, so we had a meeting Thursday, April 16th, and a Zoom. We discussed paying Sandra, and it was approved that they would pay her until the executive order was lifted. There was a budget actually approved, and what they ended up approving was basically the budget that was from last year. But they did make a motion and approve it, and they did get it to Paula. We did talk about what Sandra's doing right now, and some of the things she's doing is they've talked about, like, when we do open up, like the computer labs and getting things so that people aren't sitting right next to each other and that sort of thing, wiping things down, making signs to tell what they're doing for the public, so that the public's aware of some of the sanitary things that they're going to be going through. And she's doing the electronic type stuff, books and things too. So I think that might be it. The next meeting is Thursday, May 20th. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but I was actually,
I just had one, they're not working on signs and cleaning up the computer room at this time. Seems they're getting paid.
Sandra is up there doing some wiping down of books and stuff that people, I think there was like almost 400 books checked out right before we went on this break.
And
So they're returning them, through the slot. And so she's wiping down books and stuff like that. So I do know she's up there some.
okay, well, that's fine. I just wondered when you said there's gonna make signs after the executive orders, or I said, well, it seems like that could be done beforehand, because you know you're gonna have them no matter what.
No, they're talking
But
about
that's
the
good.
signs now, so they'll be posted when we open up. So she's working on putting something together to put on the walls by the
Well, that's
computer area.
a good
where the-
report.
Huh?
I said,
Yeah,
that's a good report.
Thank you.
Hey, Mayor, this is Dan. I just
Yeah.
have one other thing.
Yes, sir.
Reference to COVID, in the Laingsburg area, we've got 6 confirmed cases, and we have 1 confirmed residence in the city. So the other 5 are outside the city, but we do have 1 that's inside the city now.
Is that just one person in the city, or can you say?
I can say it's 1 household.
Okay, that's plenty good for me to know. All right, well, thank you. Anything else? We got a good library report, we got a budget report, we got an annual report, so forth. That's good. Paula, do you have anything under others?
I do not. I just wanted to let you guys know that I have, I applied for the FEMA. I don't know if we'll need it, but it is required. It's required that you, apply on the FEMA grant page or whatever. And then today, Dan and I both listened to the, I don't know, spiel, telling us what we could, apply for and that kind of thing. But what was it? I think it was $3,500 or $3,000 that you have to have. And then they're only covering 50%. So it would cover like masks, overtime, just things that it cost us, which, I'm not sure that we're really gonna have anything. And then, there's the CARES Act, and I've been following up on all of the HR stuff. So if someone does get sick, what we're supposed to do and those kind of things. Been watching a lot of webinars. We're working on getting our SAP software updated. They've come in, they've took our data. So we're getting some of that stuff done. Seems like there was a couple of other things. So we've been keeping pretty busy. I've been keeping Cassie and Amanda busy. They're they're going to the office at separate times, and it seems to be working pretty well right now.
That's good. And as we had talked, it's, no big hurry at this point, because you never know what's going to happen with all of this stuff. When they talk about coming back and all that and second waves, you want to be prepared like you're saying. And the bottom line of that is I'm not in no big hurry for you. You guys are doing a great job the way you're handling it. I'm glad that things are getting done.
One of the things I would mention is the public restrooms. Last I knew, they had them closed. A lot of communities are not opening their restrooms. I mean, I went to a state park and, they're closed. The restrooms are closed. The state park's open. You can go for a walk, you can go fishing, do whatever you want, but their bathrooms aren't open. And the sign is that, they can't keep them clean. It's impossible for them to keep people from, transmitting the COVID here, I guess. But so I think that that's something that we're going to have to deal with, is a timeline when we're going to open things. And that was one of the videos I sent you. They had like a 3-phase plan for how they were going to start to do things. So we did mail out the sewer bills May 1st. And we put a letter in there encouraging people to pay them by mail or put it in the drop box if they had to, or credit card over the phone. So we are really encouraging people not to come into the office still at this point.
No foot traffic. So. Okay, well, thank you. Is there anything else? If not, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Night
Good
all.
night.
Thank you.
Paula.
Hey, bye.
Yeah.